Bill Carroll of Zinni62 Media, and we're going to continue our series of going through the undrafted free agency draft class and also the cap situation of all 32 teams. And the Arizona Cardinals are a team that seems to have the golden ticket, right? They have their franchise quarterback, and they have him on a rookie deal. That's essentially half of what you're trying to accomplish when you're a general manager like Steve Keim. And I remember Steve Keim, once again, one of two general managers we've talked about so far, who I remember as offensive lineman. I remember at NC State University, played 36 consecutive games at left guard and made all ACC, was offensive freshman of the year in 91, and was later named a captain, was an offensive line MVP, and spent a cup of coffee, as they say, with the Miami Dolphins, played with the Edmonton Eskimos for a season, and then got into the business, as they say. By 1991 of May of that year, he was a college scout for the Eastern United States with the Cardinals, later became their director of college scouting, and then in 2008, director of player personnel, president of player personnel, and then finally made general manager on January 8th of 2013. He later has won in 2013 and 2014 the Pro Football Talk Executive of the Year. Right now, they have totally cap liabilities of $227,128,166 in dead money, tied up in the following players: $3 million to Jordan Hicks, $2.5 million to AJ Green, Malcolm Butler getting $1,087,500 for a total of just under $6,987,077 in dead cap, and they have $3,190 available in dead cap at the moment. But the several $100 million question is the future, the immediate future of one Kyler Murray. And obviously, if they can successfully resolve that, that puts them back on track with all the things you want to have in place. Your rookie quarterback, who's franchise quarterback, on his rookie deal. So will he earn this award again for what he's done this just a few weeks ago? I will now quote my draft Twitter buddy. He's a great follow, Eric Edholm. I think it's at Eric Edholm on Twitter. And here's his quote. He said they ended up with 3 picks in the top 100, 5 picks in the top 200. Moving out of number 23 cost him a shot at a badly needed cornerback, either Kia Elam, who went in that spot, 23, or Andrew Booth in the early second. And he said they may end up regretting the decision. They did get Trey Mcbride, who gets a chance to follow in Zach Ertz's footsteps, but was tight in the biggest need. Well, you know my philosophy. I say don't reach for need. I say find the best player available who's number one on your board and get that player. And they did a pretty good job of getting good players for the most part, though. There were a couple of things that I thought were, okay. Jesse Luketa, I think, was a really good pickup. They doubled down by getting another player I really like in Cameron Thomas, who, if you care about advanced analytics in terms of pass rush, things like pass rush efficiency and win rate, he's in the top 3 or 4 in almost every one of the numbers that you can look at. And if he becomes even a very good, and I think he has a chance to be a very, very good player for them for many years, and gives them 7.5, 8.5, he's a guy that consistently gives you between 6 and 9 sacks over, the length of the contract, and maybe becomes a 2-contract guy. That's a win. That's a hit. Like, you count that as a successful draft pick, especially when you don't have any first round picks. So when you look at their sort of entire draft, we talked about one of the players I really liked, and that obviously is Trey Mcbride, who I would say is one of the more complete tight ends in this particular class. So this is a class that mostly has sort of specialist, right, at the tight end position, or tight ends that are of a particular type of tight end and not really the full service tight end. They don't really have one of those, or too many of those in this class. But he gives good effort as a blocker, and moves well. Moving on through the rest of the players that they have, since they still have James Conner, they brought back AJ Green, Michael Dogbe. They moved on from some players as well. They added Jeff Gladney and Nick Vigil in free agency, who I think are good players. Obviously, Chase Edmonds and Christian Kirk are the biggest losses. Chandler Jones, no, take it back. Chandler Jones is the biggest loss, but the next two are Christian Kirk and Chase Edmonds, and then they lost Max Garcia, which is a significant-ish, and they released Jordan Phillips and Jordan Hicks. So, I'm a big fan of their first two picks. Trey Mcbride, I think that's excellent value at 55, and I think he's going to be immediately in the lineup, if not as a starter, then as when they go into some of their 12 personnel. Cameron Thomas is another guy I think is immediately in the rotation. I think Myjai Sanders at pick 100 sees the field quickly. It's pick 201, but I just feel like there are better players, especially better running backs than Keontae Ingram. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the running backs they got as an undrafted free agent ends up outproducing him. We'll get to him in a moment. Luketa Smith, guard from Gia Tech. They got him at pick 215. I think that's a very good pick. Christian Matthew from Valdosta State. He has a chance to make the team. Once again, I know it's hard to criticize picks that late. I still feel like there are better players on the board. Justin Luketa is great value to get him. Marcus Hayes from the guard from Oklahoma is great value to get him where they got him. I want to spend some time on their undrafted free agent signing period, particularly some of the guys that I think really have a decent chance to not only make the roster, but make an impact once they make the roster. So, amongst them, Daryl Baker, who was an all-conference guy, or third-team all-conference guy at Georgia Southern, a good solid tackler, guy with good size, over 6 feet tall, 194, I believe, is what he came in at. In his career, played 53 games, 111 tackles, 80 of them solo, 3 interceptions, 17 passes defense. And this past season, 32 solo tackles. No, 33 total tackles, 27 solo. He defended 8 passes, 31. Also, at his pro day, had a nice day at the office, 4.43 in the 40, 41.5-inch vertical, which is, there's no place where that's not impressive. 11.4 broad, 4.25 short shell, 7.07 3-cone. And once again, I'm not sure if he isn't a better player than one of the players they ended up drafting. They also got Sean Gahage, who ran a 4.51 at his pro day, started his career at Villanova where he tore it up, finished up at Virginia Tech where he didn't like to tear it up, but had a decent career. Had 87 receptions, 1,462 yards, and 14 TDs in his time at Villanova. And then at Tech, suffered a knee injury but came back from it. And played a total of 14 games there for the Hokies. And never had any huge seasons, but in his 13 games, played in 14 over 2 seasons, but I think started at 13. 65 catches, 1,118 yards, 13 TDs. Here's a player, there's a couple players I really want to mention very quickly. I really like this player. Emmanuel Jones, a.k.a. Manny Jones, 4'9", 40, 22 bench reps, 31-inch vert for a guy's size is terrific. 9.8 broad, 4.77 short shuttle, 7.48 3-cone. The short shuttle is the only number that isn't somewhere between above average and fantastic. He's 6'2" and 5'8", 280. He can probably get up to 300 without losing anything. He'd probably play 3-tech. I think he could play a little bit of 5-tech in a pinch. 4-eye, I think he'd rock 4-eye. 181 total tackles, 85 of them solo, which is a really high solo tackle percentage number for a guy that played a little bit of inside, a little bit of outside, but was playing on the D-line. 13.5 sacks, 33 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery in his 5 seasons in the Valley, right? The big V, Fresno. In his senior year, in 12 games, he had 45 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, a fumble recovery, and his best year was 2019, which is where he made first team the all-unappreciated team for Consistent Draft Services and the Consistent Draft Services Pro Player Prospect Radio Show. Say that 4 times fast. But that year he had 54 tackles, 5 sacks, including a game where he went nuts against Wyoming for 3 sacks. Kakolu Kaneo from Boise State is one of those guys where none of his measurable numbers are going to excite you. He's 5'10" and a quarter, 186 actually. 34.5-inch vert, 4.64 40, 9.3 broad, 4.43 short shuttle, 6.71 3-cone. Take it back. That's actually a very impressive 3-cone. But he's a guy who can do a little bit of everything. He's not going to stay with the more athletic slots. He's going to be a special teams guy. But could he play in that 3 safety set that a lot of teams are playing? I think yes. John Trey Kirkland from LSU is a wide receiver, but sort of wide receiver in name only. He's going to be a special teamer. He was a special teamer in college. It's unlikely he goes from being a special teamer in college to a full-fledged wide receiver in the NFL. I'm excited about Central Methodist Will Miles from Arizona Western, where he was a terrific JUCO player, also played on the basketball team for a season there. So he gets to Central Methodist. Obviously, that's an NAIA school, so it's a level of competition that makes it a little hard to evaluate. But his pro day, right, at 6'5", 279, he runs a 5.04. Some people had him a little faster. Some people had him just under 5 feet, flat. 15 bench reps. Obviously, NAIA, he's not probably in a great, let me rephrase that. The conditions and the actual facilities wouldn't allow him to do the same things he could do at a different kind of program. So you're expecting him to be stronger. But 33-inch vert, which is very nice for a guy that size, 9'7" broad, 4'7", short shuttle, 7'4", 3 cone. In his 19 games at Central Methodist, he had 90 tackles, 12 sacks, 28 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. And last year had 7 sacks and 14 tackles for loss and 56 tackles. Now, obviously, low-level competition, but when a guy can play, once again, multiple plays on the line, probably play 5 tech, could probably play, maybe not 3, could play 4-eye, and maybe even kick out to 7, that gives you value. 2 more guys who were undrafted. Obviously, Max Williams was another sort of undersized tight end who never quite did what people was hoping he would do. Chris Pierce is a guy that's played some wide receiver and played some tight end in his career. They're projecting him to tight end, 6'3" 3/8", 227, ran a 4.65 40, which is, not saying the world on fire, but good for a guy that size. 21 reps, 34 on average vert, 10.3 broad, 4.45 short shuttle, 7.45 3 cone. With the exception of the 3 cone, those are all above average to very good numbers for a player that size. In 53 games, 37 of them starts, playing mostly wide receiver. He had 109 receptions for 1,398 yards. So it's 12.8 yards per reception, 9 touchdowns. You're hoping he can be that guy that comes on in those multiple tight end sets. Maybe they go 3 tights. And, he attacks the seam all day long, I'm assuming. Once again, he's not the world's greatest blocker, but he's learning and he wants to get better at it. And in that last season, 654 yards on 57 catches. 57 catches. 57 catches, 654 yards, 2 TDs. So he's a project, but they might get something out of it. I'm a big fan of Ronnie Rivers. I'm just going to get that out of the way. I like him more than I, once again, probably should. 5'7.5", 198. So you're thinking scat back, but watch him play. He's not a scat back. Knocked out 19 bench reps, right? He's ran a 4.34 short shuttle, 4.57 40, 6.91. That's a really nice 6.91 3 cone. And he's the leading rusher in the history of their program at Fresno State. That should mean something to you if you understand how many good running backs have come out of Fresno, including his father, right, Ron Rivers. He finished fourth in career all-purpose yards, and third in career rushing yards, number 1 in touchdowns, 52 touchdowns. And in those 53 seasons, 3,417 yards rushing on 672 carries. That's 5.2 yards a pop. Caught 150 catches for 1,417 yards. There's a place for this guy in the NFL. He doesn't make this team, he makes somebody's team. He was all Mountain West. Honorable mention. I just think if you look at what he can do, and obviously you're not going to see him as a between the tackles, 20 carries at this level kind of guy. But he's a better player than people think. So, NFL teams get $167,944 yards. $167,944. They're allowed to allot to their undrafted free agent signing class, which could be one player. They can give all to one player. They could give half to one and divide the rest amongst the other 6. They can give 0 signing bonus to some people. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of that. And also they can guarantee as much as none or as much as all of a player's base salary for players that are come in as undrafted free agents. And they can even offer more than the minimum level for a player experience. So, as I've explained to some people, sometimes it's better to be an undrafted free agent. Why? Because you can, if you're really a high value one, there can be a little bit of a bidding war for you. I have a young man, I guess we're sort of acquaintances now, but his name was Scott Sicko, and he had decided not to show up to Cowboys camp. A few teams were excited about him. He was just going to, as he has now, I think he's a coach and a history teacher. But he decided, I've had fun, I was a good player, but I'm ready to move on with the rest of my life. But there's several teams that were really interested, including the Cowboys. And they ended up sort of sweetening the pot until finally, they talked him into coming into camp. And, of course, the Tony Romo, speaking of the Cowboys again, the Saints really, really wanted him. And Sean Payton was kind of trying to play the whole, I went to Eastern Illinois, you went to Eastern Illinois thing. But then, money talks. And also he looked at the quarterback situation in Dallas and liked it better and thought he had a better chance to win that job. So it's disappointing if you don't get drafted. I get that. But if you're really thinking strategically as a player and you're able to pick the team, and sometimes you can actually get more signing bonus and more guaranteed money by being an undrafted free agent. So moving on to the next team next.